It's always great to be back in APJ. Thank you for having me. TB, thank you. Briefly, we're going to go through the Dell Technologies Cloud and why we're so excited about things. I think you can hear the enthusiasm in TB's voice, and you'll hear a lot from us over the next couple of days. So at this point, it's no surprise that technology is changing every industry. I'm pretty old, and when I started in the industry, technology was an expense. It was something you tried to squeeze cost out of. These days, it is front and center to every business out there. There's not a CEO, there's not a CFO who's not thinking about applications, thinking about security, thinking about their web presence, thinking about their mobile app. It is the business. And with the global economy going digital, it's critical that organizations transform. And that's where you, our partners, come in. Now, having said that, TB mentioned 175 zettabytes of data by 2025. That means that 60% of the global GDP is going to be digital by 2022 based on that data and the analytics that come out of it. In fact, even for physical goods, 60% of the revenue in the value chain is going to be derived by digital means. Now, that is a staggering number. And the question is, how do we help customers deal with that? It's a complicated issue. Now, the competitive advantage really comes by taking data plus software and driving analytics and value out of that data. In fact, the entire thesis behind the Dell Technologies story is that we are in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution driven by data. Data is the new oil, and we believe that we have the platform to monetize that and to help you, our partners, take advantage of that. Now, competitive advantage is going to largely come out of how do you monetize that data value. And to do that, it means that you've got to navigate a multi-cloud world. We're not going to live in a simple on-premises infrastructure world anymore. We're not going to live in a solo public cloud infrastructure either. It's going to be a hybrid multi-cloud world, and we believe we have the platform to help everyone get there. Now, if we think about what success means, it means delivering digital services powered by data in a multi-cloud world, as I've said. CIOs want to speed the time to market, drive faster revenue, and if you talk to CEOs, they don't really care about how it gets done, but the time to value is absolutely critical. So getting your company to be more digitized, more data-centric, and gain an advantage is key. And in order to do that, they've got to satisfy a pretty diverse range of demanding business applications and workloads. So this is what a typical enterprise looks like today. In fact, I would say just about every enterprise that I see. There's two big categories, existing workloads and the new workloads. Now, on this chart, it shows cloud native, but you can think about it as existing and new, right? Typically, they're managed separately. Long-term, that's not going to work. People want to have common management and a common platform to make them work together. So if you think about it, you've got existing applications that live in the data center. You might modernize the infrastructure they run on. Obviously, we have what we think is a best-in-class infrastructure portfolio, so that's great. You may want to add new features to them. You may want to start to utilize hybrid infrastructure where you're going to move part of these to the cloud, or maybe even lift and shift the entire thing to the cloud. Now notice I say cloud. Cloud is an operating model. That does not mean public cloud. It just means the way that we provision and the time to value. It can be on-prem, it can be off-prem, it can be a combination of both. As you start to move into the new workloads, things like refactoring the apps to take advantage of containers and cloud services becomes very critical. That's another area where we need you, our partners, to help customers get there. That's not work that we typically do. And then for applications that are brand new, like the things that run on your mobile devices, they're typically developed directly for the cloud. They're using technologies like Kubernetes, containers, and cloud-based services that give them more agility. And they really are an entirely different world than the traditional three-tier on-premises apps. And then finally, some apps get replaced entirely by software as a service. And Steve talked about that earlier as we think about things like Office 365 and Workday and those variety of apps. That's a pretty complicated world. And ideally, customers want help in trying to manage it. So what we've done with the Dell Technologies Cloud is we've taken the best technology from VMware and the infrastructure from Dell EMC, And we've really built a common one cloud strategy that spans on-prem, public cloud, into a true multi-cloud hybrid cloud world. We think this is pretty unique in the industry. So if you think about what the world's going to look like, it's a combination of edge, private, and public. Customers want consistent services, operations, infrastructure across all of that. They want to be able to utilize the best cost model, the most competitive services catalog. They want to be able to handle bursts when they have computing needs, and they want to be able to come back to make the most efficient use of their on-premises architecture. That's what we do. Now, with a cloud discussion, almost always comes a consumption model discussion. So as a service has become a very, very popular model for consumption. In fact, it's almost an integral part of any conversation you have with a customer, regardless of whether they ultimately choose to buy the hardware, lease the hardware, use a consumption-based model, use a pay-as-you-grow model. And as Steve mentioned, in reality, a lot of those consumption-based models are really minimum commitment models because it's awfully expensive to go with just a purely flexible up and down. The great news is that with Dell Technologies on Demand, we're now able to offer exactly that type of model, both for on-premises hardware and for the hybrid cloud. Again, that's what that common operating model of the Dell Technologies Cloud gives you. So we have a wide variety of consumption models, everything from simply purchase the hardware to leasing arrangements to flexible pay-as-you-grow model to minimum consumption models. And we'll be happy to talk to you more about that over the next couple of days. That was a major announcement we made just a few weeks ago. We're pretty excited about what we offer there, and that's across our entire portfolio: server storage, networking, VxRail for HCI, so really the whole portfolio. We have integrated full-stack solutions, everything from our VxRail HCI platform to our Power1 and VxBlock converged infrastructure platforms. And of course, we have an end-to-end portfolio from server, storage, networking, as we've talked about before, that we think is best in class in the industry. And all of it can be consumed the way that you want to consume it and the way that your customers want to consume it. Now, if you think about what that means for you, our partners, Dell Technologies Cloud and Dell Technologies On Demand is fully enabled through the partner program. So first of all, it's all eligible for rebates, MDF, partner of record status. So if you do a deal through Dell Technologies On Demand or with the Dell Technologies Cloud, you can get partner of record for that future business. We've got dedicated training and enablement channels that allow you to leverage the full range of what we offer. We mentioned Dell Technologies On Demand. That's fully available to you either as a referral or as a resale deal, so you can sort of share in that revenue stream, or you can get paid for the referral up front. And then the Cloud Partner Connect program. We have 4,300 cloud service providers out there that you can partner with globally to leverage for the hybrid cloud models. So a large variety of ways that you can participate in this. Now, having said that, there's even more ways where we need you, and this is where our partner community becomes an integral part of where we see ourselves going for the next few years. Steve mentioned it in his keynote. If you think about the upside for partners, a lot of it is in services. And if you look at what you can do, right, let's start with Enhance, and as we build this model out, there's the traditional procurement and installation services. So as you put in the on-prem infrastructure, somebody needs to install it, configure it, set it up. Then there's the operations and monitoring services. A lot of customers don't want to do that themselves. There's dedicated and shared cloud services, leveraging our cloud service providers, as I mentioned, 4,300 and growing globally. Beyond Enhance, there's Extend. So things like migrating applications into the Dell Technologies Cloud platform, whether that is on a public cloud or on-prem. As you'll see with Dell Technologies Cloud, you can go back and forth easily. So once you're on the Dell Technologies Cloud, you have that flexibility. Or re-platforming and refactoring apps to take advantage of the cloud-native services. That's a revenue stream that I see continuing for 10 to 15 years as these legacy apps get refactored, very similar to what happened when virtualization first came out in the 2000s. And then availability, backup, and data protection services. A lot of the data that's in the cloud today is not backed up well. And if it is backed up, it's not backed up with a common platform that covers the on-prem world as well. This is another area where you can use our data protection technology to provide that for customers.